Hello, I would like to start with one simple question. How many times have you heard someone say, usually an ignorant person, that a movie was a flop? Not that they did not like it, not that they thought the movie was bad, but a flop. Usually the evidence comes fast. Opening weekend, box office predictions, second weekend drop offs, international totals, and before the movie has even been out for a month, people have already assigned a legacy to it. But here's the thing, movie history has shown that films have proved them wrong. Not because they suddenly made more money or because the studio changed the narrative, but because audiences kept watching them. That's the important part. Talking about them and recommending them to their families, friends. Somewhere along the way, it feels like part of the conversation has drastically changed. We used to spend more time talking about the movie itself, the story, the performances, the directing, the moments that worked and the moments that did not. Now I feel we are always talking about everything around the movie instead of talking about the movie itself. We talk about the studio strategy, the marketing budgets, opening weekend predictions, whether executives are happy, whether shareholders are happy, and whether a franchise has a future. And those things can be interesting, I will give you that, but they are not the actual movie. A movie can be a financial success and still leave no lasting impression. A movie can disappoint money wise and still become something audiences love for decades and decades. When I walk out of a theater, the first thing I want is to talk about what the studio earned. No, I want to talk about whether the movie worked. Did it make me laugh? Did it surprise me? Did it move me? Did it give me something worth remembering? Those are the important things. Because at the end of the day, that is what we are actually buying a ticket for. Think about the Shawshank Redemption. Today, it is considered one of the most beloved films ever made. But when it first came out, it was not an unstoppable cultural phenomenon. Sorry, I stumbled there. The reputation came later. People discovered it, shared it, introduced it to friends and family. I have three more: Blade Runner, The Thing, Office Space. If social media had existed when these movies were released, would people have declared them dead? Probably. And that's what fascinates me. Not whether a movie wins opening weekend, not whether it beats projections, but do people still care years later? Because that's the real test of legacy. Nobody remembers box office charts, hopefully. People remember the moments, the characters, quotes, scenes, feelings. Nobody sits around talking about a movie because it had a strong second weekend hold. They talk about it because it meant something to them. We have forgotten that. That is why some movies live forever while others disappear. And here's the funny part: sometimes the movie everyone is celebrating today becomes obsolete and forgotten tomorrow. And sometimes the movie everyone is discussing becomes the one we are still talking about 20 years later, even though we panned it when it first came out. That's what makes movies interesting. Nobody truly knows the audience because they decide what works, not an opening weekend, not a month into it, but over years, maybe even decades. That's why I started this channel. Not to predict winners and losers. That's not my place. Not to act like a stock market analyst because Jesus, I am not. Not to tell you what movies you are supposed to like. You have your own mind. I started this channel because I do love movies. I love talking about them with my friends. What worked, what did not, what surprised me, and what stayed with me after the credits rolled. I think that is a more interesting conversation than arguing about whether a movie made enough money 3 days after its release. Because someday a movie that is being written off right now might actually become someone's favorite film. And who am I to judge that? History has shown us that this happens all the time. So maybe the next time a movie comes out and everyone rushes to declare it a success or a failure, maybe it's worth remembering that we have been wrong before countless number of times. The movie's story might just be starting. If you enjoyed this discussion, leave a comment with a movie you think was underestimated when it came out. I would love to hear your pick, but until next time, keep your expectations real, and I will see you again.